what part of your back is you trying to unbig?
Girl, all these snacks. I'm trying to
Don't do that because that's not where your big part is.
but I don't want
Right.
it to be big at all.
That's not where your big part is. Me, mine. Yours not.
Well,
Your big part is not your back.
it's all relative. It's all
It's
relative.
on her back, but it's not
Thank you.
her back.
It's not your back.
Well, I'm working on that too.
I mean, I could put a blender and a cutting board back there.
Don't do me. Don't do me. Don't do me like
Girl,
that.
you know your booty's out there.
This is the episode 100, and y'all gonna
Big,
try to do me like this. This
big.
is a celebration, and
Come
y'all
on, girl.
do me like
Do
this.
you know folks is
We
paying
just said that you don't need to unbig your back. I mean, you just
you
have
know
a
folks
big booty attached to
folks
your
is
back.
paying their rent
You know,
money to go get
just
your butt?
yes,
Their rent
I
money?
wish I
literally.
can. I wish I can make my rent money.
You could.
You could. You
You
just you
could.
just don't do it.
Man, first of all, it's illegal in this state, and secondly,
It's illegal in all states, but don't stop folks.
yeah, but it's scary out there. It's scary. You don't want no new. You got to.
You could go on OnlyFans
I could.
and make a grip with that thing. Pay your
You just do a one night special and you
yes,
in there.
it could literally clean house.
Y'all do know we're recording, right?
Just
You
saying.
know, just throw it in a circle.
I'll consider that, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This is episode 100 of Black Coffee and Crime. We have made it to the 100 mark. We started this in at the very beginning of the pandemic. I think it was June of 2020 that we started this. We were initially doing this once a week because, hell, we had time. Then life caught up with all three of us. And we just, things changed. So now we do it every other week, but we still made it to episode 100. And in honor of that occasion, we're going to talk about Dennis Nilsen. Like Britain's Jeffrey Dahmer before there was a Jeffrey Dahmer. These two are so close in what they do and how they do it that it's scary. You think that one was studying the other. They kind of their time of operation kind of overlapped, because they were probably around the same age, somewhere in there. So they were contemporaries in two different countries. So we'll talk about Dennis Nilsen and how he is very similar to Jeffrey Dahmer. So we talked about Jeffrey a couple of episodes ago. All right, so before we start, what of the 100 episodes that we did, what's the most memorable or your favorite or your least favorite one that we've done?
It's not my favorite, but I did like that Serenity has so much traffic. The story on YouTube.
Serenity Richardson.
I still go visit it because I just love the interaction. And then when her mother spoke on that, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was that was weird because
I was like, what?
Yeah, she's like, you guys kind of got something wrong, and then I was like, well, I asked, like, do you want us to like correct it? And she's like, no, I don't even want to talk about it. So we honored that, and we didn't dig any further. But like we always say, if we do get anything wrong, we're not trying to be malicious. So if it's something that bothers you, hey, let us know. Hit us up, Instagram, Facebook, email, all of those at Black Coffee Crime, and the email is info@blackcoffeecrime.com. So you can always hit us up and let us know respectfully that, hey, this actually happened at this time, this happened here, you guys should look here. Do that. We'll make corrections. We'll take all that into consideration. Brandy, what about you? What's your favorite, least favorite, most?
You already know my favorite.
With the field greens?
Yes.
Is that the same one as Nipple Belt?
Yes.
That's the same one. Yeah.
Yes.
That is the episode where we talked about Albert Fish.
I was literally about to say that next. I was going to say that is probably one of the best episodes we've done.
Ed Gein. And Ed Gein had the nipple belt and all that stuff. And Albert Fish, another famous cannibal, we're wondering, if he made them with field greens. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I said that. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of traffic. It's been a lot of traffic on our Facebook page too.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, that's because we were
I was
talking
like,
about when we talked about
hey.
Alex Murdaugh, which
Yeah.
um, we were talking about how some of his home, their home, and their possessions were going up for auction. And I said that I bet you they have some nice dishes at their hunting lodge that they were auctioning off. Randy said, "You gonna buy the murder dishes?" And we brought up the Waffle House because I said that if you've eaten at Waffle House, you've eaten off of murder dishes. And the very next day, that little video either came across Instagram or TikTok. I don't know where I got that video from, but I reposted it and I said, if you saw episode 98, you know what we're talking about. And people keep connecting with it. So I didn't get any of the murder dishes, so I didn't bid on any of them, but I kind
The
of
murder dishes is probably sky high.
I know. But there were some nice dishes though. They probably had a good toaster, like a good
They
force.
probably had a good. You think they got a stew pot in there? I know that because they had I know they wasn't cooking.
They got a good
They
knife
probably
set.
had a cook.
They got a good knife set in there. Because one of them boys, what was it? The one that died, he threatened the housekeeper with a knife, didn't he?
Yeah, they probably have some good nightstands.
Yeah, they have the furniture in there. I wonder if they sell the stairs.
Who gonna want them stairs? Them murder stairs.
Somebody wants stairs.
Stairs is different than plates, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can make a dress or something out of them.
You said
What
they
kind
got
of?
good. Randy, you said you bet they have nice nightstands. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably some good little throw blankets too, but the little fuzzy kind.
We need help. We need help. We really do. Let's see. I think I don't know which one is my favorite. Oh, I think my favorite one is the Briley Brothers, which was like a very early episode that we did about the Briley Brothers out of Virginia. Yeah, I think that was one of my favorites in the very beginning. So
They probably got all the good appliances too, name brand, top
oh
notch.
yeah, they got
KitchenAid. Yeah,
Imagine they
KitchenAid
had an air
everywhere.
fryer. I want to know what the air fryer looks like because I need that air fryer.
they probably didn't use it though.
They probably got a big one.
They probably got like a Viking stove too.
Mm-hmm.
They got a good blender.
Oh yeah, like a Vitamix. They got a good Vitamix up there.
Girl, man, I wish I had some money when it was time for that thing.
I had cleaned up.
I don't want them no rugs in there. They had all them dogs.
I had to clean up them rugs just like they cleaned up all the murders that they did.
Yep.
Well, the housekeeper, she wasn't before us long, so we don't know.
Well, she was with them for like 20 some years.
So. Yeah, but I'm talking about from when she passed to then, they probably had all kind of pet hair and all in them rugs.
No, they probably kept them dogs outside after that. Who knows? Let's not get started because we will go on a tangent and make a bunch of shit. Okay, so let's get started on episode 100. First, update about Shanquilla Robinson. The U.S. the State Department of Justice, whoever has decided Attorney General, I think, has decided not to pursue charges against anybody in that case on this side of the border. I'm not sure if Mexico is going to extradite or continue with their extradition process of Shanquilla's friend, but I believe either if it's the Department of Justice, it's still the Attorney General, but whoever who made the decision, basically they said it's not enough evidence to pursue prosecution. And also it said that her spinal cord was not severed. So that was part of the autopsy, that her spinal cord was not severed, and there's just not enough evidence. I'm quite sure her parents and her family is not satisfied with that at all. But
we're not satisfied with this. So I know our parents aren't.
But okay, so they're saying it's not enough evidence. Neither one of us are lawyers, but we're gonna do some armchair investigating. So, like, what do you guys think that they would have needed more of? What do you think would have been like the smoking gun here that they would have needed to go ahead? What were they
I don't
missing?
know, video, a witness who's willing to say,
Who,
because they were all gonna cover each other because they were all a part of it.
So with a murder, there's no statute of limitations on a murder. And if they haven't gone to trial and the charges have been dismissed, they haven't even been charged with anything, they can always go back and prosecute or bring up charges. I think that Mexico will probably not extradite, probably won't do anything. If anything, her family should sue if they can, the resort and the doctors or whatever, civil suit, but I don't know how that works in another country. Maybe go after the families of the friends. And I also think that best kept secret is between you and a person who can't talk. That person who can't talk in this case is Shanquilla. But those other people, somebody's going to say something to the wrong person. Somebody's gonna talk.
They gonna tell their cousin, the cousin don't like them for real.
Somebody's gonna say something, because here's the thing. When you have people who are that jealous of one person, it's not just one person that they're jealous and hateful of. There's this person doesn't like this person doesn't like this person, and we don't like them. And then they don't like them. So it seems like everyone would form the separate clique on who doesn't like who has dirt on who. And pretty soon that little foundation that they, of solidarity, that's going to crumble. And somebody's going to go and speak to a DA or something and say, I got some information. I want to tell you guys what happened. Because the first person who talks always gets the best deal.
Yep.
So I don't.
They probably already told somebody. We know they're not good friends. So somebody who used to be their friend, somebody's
going to break. And they're going to be like, you might as well go ahead and say something, because y'all going down. So you might as well get the best deal possible. Tell on everybody. So for right now, that's where they are with Shanquilla. Any other stories that have come out? Any updates on any other stories? The people in Mexico, that went down there, supposedly went down there for
The
BBL or whatever. Two of the survivors, I think there were only two anyway, said that the guys in the cartel like stripped them naked and forced them, or was gonna force them to perform oral sex on each other or something. And I'm like,
and their brother and sister or something.
What? Like, at this point, keep that to yourself. I wouldn't tell.
And what happened to that chick?
The other one? I don't know. If I was there, I'd have kept my stories to myself too. I wouldn't have said anything, but I definitely wouldn't say that they were gonna make us or anything. I kept that to myself.
Well, it ain't like they gonna try to holler back at them.
Yeah, I don't think that's central to the story. I'd have kept that. So, all right, y'all ready to talk about Jeffrey Dahmer?
Oh, Dennis.
Brandy, since you brought him up, you suggested the story. What's his history like? What's going on with Dennis?
Well, I tried to find some stuff about his early life, but I couldn't really find anything. Did you guys find anything about him growing up? Because I didn't.
Yes. So he's from Scotland. His mother's Scottish. His father is Norwegian or something. He was a sailor, and they had 3 kids. Dennis is the youngest. He was described as very like
Weirdo.
literally untouchable. Like he was not a cuddly kid. His mother didn't connect with him, like barely had any sort of physical touch with him. The dad was pretty much gone most of the time. He's a sailor, so he's pretty much gone.
Does any of this sound familiar?
Yes, exactly. The only person that he pretty much had any sort of connection with was his mother's father. He was also a sailor, so they lived in like a village, a fishing village or whatever. And he was in his life until he was about 6 or 7, and then the grandfather goes out to sea, and he dies. The mother, she seems really cruel. He comes home from school one day and she's like, "You want to see your grandfather?" Dennis is really excited because this is the only person that excites him. He says, "Of course." He comes in the house. She's like, "Let me show you." There's a huge box in the living room or the dining room or something. And if you're familiar with either European culture, some European culture, especially in Ireland, Scotland, places like that, and the Deep South, they used to have wakes. Well, they still have them, but a wake actually was that you had the body in the home and people would, prepared, and people would come, even Jewish people do this. People would come and they'd sit around the casket and eat and drink and kind of fellowship with each other and talk about the memories that you have of that person. So they would have a wake. So having the body in the house wasn't such a big deal, but there's a white box, and the grandfather's in the box. And the mom opens the box and says, "There he is." So Dennis sees his grandfather, who's been at sea for however long, dead. And he's totally terrified. And the mom says he's gone to a better place. Dennis is like, "Why didn't he take me if it was such a great place? Why didn't he?" So basically, that was the wrong damn thing to tell him, because that starts his fascination with death, because
then he did. I did remember him saying that he would go in the lake and try to drown himself to try to go be with his grandfather.
Yeah, because he's in a better place and I want to go.
Yeah.
After that, Dennis, he's weird at school. He's gay. Probably knows that from the very beginning. He goes to school. He's the weird kid. He goes to the army. And of course, he can't say that he's gay.
Nope.
He can't reveal that. But they still thought he was weird as hell. He stays in the army for about 11 years. He becomes, though,
this is the
things that he trains in the army is butchering. There's a technical word for that, but I don't know what it is. But he becomes a butcher, and he's good at it. Yeah. So he stays in the army for about 11 years. He discharges. He goes and he becomes a police officer for a little bit. Yeah. So he's a police officer for a little while. In the middle of that, while he's in the army, he becomes a photographer. He's really good at it. I think this is his opportunity to take pictures of men, which he does. He gets some of his army buddies to like pose as corpses and stuff. They think it's weird, but they still do it. So he kind of perfects posing bodies in dismemberment, which he's gonna do later. One of the crazy
also
go ahead.
Okay. No, I'm saying he also moved away where he can actually practice his homosexuality, because he really didn't get to do it before. So he actually moved. What was it? Did he move to London? Yeah. So he started going out, hitting the clubs, and actually having what we'll call relationships with guys. He was with one guy for a good while, but the guy really just didn't see that their relationship was going to go any further. So he ended up leaving. So most of his relationships are mostly one night stands, or, there wasn't any long commitment in any of his relationships. And that's really what he was looking for, is he wanted a partner. He wanted a long-term commitment, and he could not get one, partially because he was a weirdo. So
I have
yeah.
I have a question about him being a weirdo. As we all know, when before maybe the last 15 or 20 years, we didn't even think about saying autism. We didn't know what autism was. That has become like the go-to, or ADHD. Those have become go-to diagnosis for just about any weird or off behaviors.
Right.
There's, when we were, maybe kids were autistic when we were younger and when we were growing up in our generation, but we didn't know it. You just were different and you function like that. He just do this like this. But in retrospect, do you think that Dennis was autistic or
A
on
little
the
bit.
spectrum in some way?
I don't know.
I think a little bit, but I don't know.
I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like it didn't really seem like he.
I mean, and then there's so many different types of autism.
Yeah.
You know, so many.
Like where you fall
So
on the spectrum of it. Yeah.
right. So it's just like what you want, because you got a few of them where they act nervous to be around people. You got people that isolate themselves. You got people that are extremely intelligent. You have, it's just so many different forms. So I
I
think
don't know. I think I don't know if he was
I don't
autistic.
know.
I think part of it might have been how he grew up,
Mhm.
and kind of isolating.
I don't think he was normal though.
But I don't know. I don't think it was autism. And he was very well spoken. And I listened to his murder tapes, the documentary with his murder tapes, and he seemed very intelligent, which he had probably had to be to, you know.
What's it called? Asperger's. Asperger's. They are extremely intelligent. They
Yeah,
speak
highly
well. They
functional.
move. So I mean, I don't
And
know.
I don't
I
know
don't
if he
think it's
was
that.
autistic or not.
the reason
I
I
just
I
think
don't know
he
if it's
had.
that. But
is
I just think
because
that he had a weird, the isolating, um, eh, um,
behaviors.
relationship he had with his parents and all of that maybe had something to do with him being a weirdo.
Right. And
But
I
people
asked that because he was
I'm a weirdo
very,
too. So
well, so am I. So hell, I don't even want to go to a therapist for them to tell me what I have. I just
I'm
think
not interested.
it's too late in the game. Just let me.
Not even interested. I don't care.
But I asked that because he was very young, and they all, most of the things that I read or watched describe him as being very young and not having any sort of physical bond with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know a couple of children who I've known since birth who are autistic. That is one of the things. And it's like Jackie said, it's very different. It's different per the individual. Some autistic people crave touch. Some people push back from it. And that's why I asked that question. But there was a criminologist or psychologist, David Wilson, in England. He interviewed Dennis Nilsen, and he said that he was perfectly sane. He said there was because when he went to court, when he was captured, he pled guilty with diminished responsibility.
oh no, definitely not.
Of course, he was convicted. They threw that out. But that's one of the things he said, diminished responsibility, because that would have led to like an insanity plea. Like, I did it, but I couldn't help myself. Also, the thing about the touch, not craving physical touch or not being bonded through physical touch. His older brother's name was, I think it was Olaf.
I was going to mention that.
Dennis used to crawl into the bed with his older brother and touch him and fondle him while he was asleep. So the older brother ridiculed him and labeled him as gay, So at an early age, he was creep. He had a creep factor. But again,
sister too.
I'm seeing that as a creep factor looking at it, but okay, roll with me here. So they got this little kid who has no physical, doesn't bond with his mom, doesn't touch anybody, right? Besides his grandfather. His grandfather's the only person he has any sort of affection for. He's gone. Then you have an older brother, and you're touching him in a certain way, which is ick factor. But this is how you're touching him. like as an informed parent, you would be like, okay, something is wrong. He doesn't touch anybody, but when he does touch people, it's inappropriate. Would he have, with the right information, the right kind of therapy, been able to kind of turn that, like get it together here, like this is inappropriate. He's craving touch, like he needs something else. Like to me, he needed therapy from the very beginning.
And do we know? I mean, I know his grandfather was the only one he loved, but was the grandfather touching him too? Like,
it doesn't say. Now that's one thing
I was thinking the same thing.
That is not said at all.
I was thinking the same thing, that the connection that he had, since his a connection of inappropriate touch had to be developed somewhere if he doesn't like touch. And I immediately thought, was the grandfather touching him? Because that was the love connection he had. That was the only connection he had.
That's how he knew how to show affection.
That his method of affection? I thought the exact same thing.
But then sometimes children, as they're growing and they do inappropriate things with their bodies sometimes.
Right. But when you're doing it, I think when it's self-exploration just of children, because we as kids, we are sponges and we crave touch and we don't know. And so if you're touching yourself, that's not inappropriate. Because that is self-exploration. I'm not harming anybody. Kids are just finding out like, oh, what is that? Why does it feel this way when I touch this? But if you're doing that to someone else and not yourself, that's inappropriate. That means that, well, to us, it could mean, like you guys said, maybe someone was touching him that way. So he thought it was okay because someone does this to me. And my grandfather loves me. So I love my brother. So I'm gay.
And then my brother told me I was a weirdo and I was gay.
And so I started touching my sister to try to
make sure it never happened to the brother. You know what I'm saying? The brother knows by this time, the brother knows the social structure and what is appropriate and what isn't. Dennis probably doesn't because he's isolated. He's a loner.
Or it could be, people who say they're gay, they say they always knew they were gay since they were little kids.
But even if you know that you're gay as a little child, let's not get into that because that's a whole different discussion, because I don't know that a little child knows that much about sexuality to say I'm gay. I don't. And that's also to say that a little child doesn't know enough about sexuality to say they're heterosexual either. There's no
Let's go trigger. You about to trigger.
But I'm saying there's nothing.
And it is so sexual. No, I completely agree.
Because there's no label.
Agree. But I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
I know. Come at me if you want to, but it is what it is. Is how, because I just don't think. Yes, you might feel different, but you don't know if that's how you feel as a 6, 7, 8 year old.
Well, I'm saying I'm not saying at 6 he knew he was gay. Mm-hmm. He might have knew what he felt was different.
How do you know it's different? Because you don't know anything else.
Because your brother just called you gay. Your brother just.
But you still might not know what that is. You can tell.
That's what I'm saying. You're when they say that I always knew I was different, or always knew you're using it with the lens, an adult lens, looking back. So as a child, you might not have been able to explain. Okay, I was different from other kids. You don't know have the words or the knowledge to say that. But when you're using an adult lens and looking back, of course you can. I don't think any kid just comes out and says, I'm gay at 4 because you don't know what that means.
I was saying, Brent, we're looking at what I'm thinking about. What you were saying was like, okay, when you got the parents, is like, well, my child feels as if they're 2, and even with Jazz
didn't feel. All she said was that I'm not I'm a girl. Like I'm not a boy. I don't want to put these boy clothes on. I don't want to. But she always said that, she didn't, wasn't into what her brothers were into.
She was 2 when it happened, 2, 3. How'd she know?
Well, she always told her parents, like, lean toward.
She's 2, 3.
Well, that is so. Oh, that is a discussion we need to have off air.
She's 2, 3.
Because
I'm just saying.
Because I'm very familiar with jazz. I watched from the beginning because I'm curious, and it started because the mama said that she would say, "Well, mommy, I want to wear a dress too." Well, obviously, he's right there with the mother, and if I love this person, a
I
child
want
at
to
2 and 3,
emulate them.
I want to be just like you because I love you so much. So at that point, why
I
does that
don't.
mean you need to
But
Yeah.
then
be
on the other
another?
hand, in our society, as soon as a child is born, we put gender rules and gender uh, laws onto them.
We
It's a
That's
do.
baby,
different.
you wear.
That's
It's a
We
girl,
do.
you
different.
wear pink. If
However,
you're a boy, you're a blue. We're
however,
going to buy you trucks. We're going to buy you this.
okay,
If you're a
so
girl, we're going to
This
buy
let me
you a
isn't
say
that
thing.
this.
situation though,
Let me
and
say this. You guys have sisters, grew up with sisters, right?
Mhm.
Primarily. Your brothers came later, right? So your primary influence is a house full of women.
Mhm.
Mine isn't. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I have brothers, no girls. Okay. All the girls in my family came way later than me. I have brothers. Not only do I want to play outside, but in order to play outside with them, I got to be as rough and tumble as them. I have to, I can't, my mom, Brandy knows my mom wanted me to have the frilly socks and the hair, and she did that. But in 15 minutes, it was trash. Like, I need to go change clothes. So, of course, as a little girl, what do I say? I want to be a boy because boys get to do stuff. Boys get to stay outside. Boys get to pee outside standing up. That shit is fascinating. Like, how can I do
Look,
that?
Then you don't even have to go inside.
just look.
Stop playing. So boys are fascinating because they get to do stuff, they get to say stuff, they get to go up the street, and I got to stay at the house. So of course, I know I said it 1,000 times. I want to be a boy. Not only do I want to be a boy, I'm dressing as a boy because I'm playing with the boys, right?
Mhm.
So that I think that's natural. Like Jackie said, you want to emulate what you find fascinating. However, did I ever, and I'm not saying this is true for everybody, so don't cook for the people, do not come at me.
They're coming anyway.
They're coming anyway. But it was never really a real thought that I really wanted to be a boy. I only wanted to be a boy because boys have freedom.
Right. It's just
Beyonce said
because of
it.
a connection.
In Beyonce's song, if I was a boy, and we all say that if I was a man, this wouldn't be a problem. So, but it never occurred to me that I was anything else other than what I was. To this day, I am what I am. I don't try to dispute it. Do you say I'm a cisgendered woman? You can call it whatever you want to. I am this. So
But
I don't think that my mom took it seriously to say she wants to be a boy. So I'm going to push the narrative that you are a boy. You can be a boy. No, it was always you are what you are. Other than
but
that,
I'm saying it now, devil's advocate, or maybe not devil's advocate, maybe transgender advocate. May you had that situation where you wanted to be a boy because of the freedoms or whatever. But what if this person wants to be a boy because in their mind they're a boy?
How do you
In their
know?
mind,
How do they
I've
know?
always had that question. How do you know what a boy
I
thinks
don't
like and
know
thinks
because
like?
that's not my experience. So I can't tell you how
Well, no.
they
The
know,
question isn't
but they
directed
know.
directly at you. The question is an open question,
It's
a
an open
very
question.
common
How do
sense
you
question.
know?
How can they relate something they have no relation
Experience
with?
with it.
How do you know?
Okay,
Like just in
uh,
general, just saying
when
in
did you
general.
realize that you were a girl? When did you realize it?
I didn't.
I didn't.
I didn't.
Mm-mm.
I
It's just
didn't.
plain. I'm just getting up every
Only
day,
reason I say that I
doing, and
wanted
I
to be
was a
a
tomboy
boy,
forever.
right? I only wanted to be a boy because I knew that a boy was different because that's what everyone else said. A boy is different, but I don't. My mind didn't change. Like
Right.
I thought I was something else. I just wanted just for
No,
the activity alone. I never wanted to change any of this. Just for hell, I still
I'm
want to be a man sometime. Just for the activity alone, but I'm still very
I'm thinking in my mind, and I'm in this body. I breast, vagina, dressed like a girl.
Mhm.
And if in my mind I'm not what I'm on the outside, I'm not the dresses my mom puts on me, I'm not the barrettes, I'm not in my mind, I'm a boy. Like, and I'm putting on what society says
It
is a
doesn't work
girl.
like that.
It,
It doesn't.
but
doesn't work.
It.
Because
I'm trying to understand how I would feel if
Right, but
I'm telling
you're
you,
using that understanding now as an adult. As
I'm
a
telling you,
3 or 4 year old, you can't concept those kind of thoughts. You
and you
barely know.
also
You
you
can't
can't
smell your man.
concept that, but you also can't explain your feelings in a way that
no, you
or
can't
your
articulate them.
You can't articulate
articulate
You
what
anything.
can't
So if
what an adult would feel. So
But here's the
they
thing.
they might have issues or thoughts about it, but they can't articulate it
Here's
to
the
you, so you
thing.
right,
don't
but if
know
they can't,
if they have
well,
thoughts about it.
if they can't articulate things, then how can they articulate the difference that they are a whole nother sex? How can you articulate that if you can't articulate all these
You may
things?
not be able to articulate it, but you know that there's something not right
But
about
why is it
yourself or
that?
what you're thinking.
Okay, let me say
It
this.
can't
I
be
don't know
that.
because I that's
Because
not my experience.
No,
I
I
these
don't
are
felt
know.
this is well, this isn't directly at Brandy. I'm saying these are just general questions that
questions.
Just
Yeah.
like just you also have to think of it like when you were a child, did you think that you were heterosexual? You just were what you were.
I didn't
I didn't
know.
think that.
I didn't
I
think
didn't
That's
anything
what
think
I'm
of
about
it.
that.
saying. So
I didn't think anything of it.
No.
so they I mean
No
they
one,
didn't
no
think
one
anything
pushed the
about you. What you
narrative.
are is what you are.
No one pushed the
Yeah, but I
narrative of
wasn't
me
thinking
being.
I wasn't thinking heterosexuality. I wasn't thinking none of those things.
I just thought I wanted to pee standing up because I didn't have to go in the house.
Yeah, they look cool.
I don't want to go in the house. I don't want to go in the house to pee.
I don't want to put on a dress because it's freely,
I
and I
don't want
want
to
to
have to
play on the
leave the
tree.
baseball field, walk all the way from Kansas across Bobby Bonds Park to Douglas to go in the house to pee because the whole game is going to be over by the time I get back. But if
So
I'm
you
a boy,
so
I
you
can
were
go to the
thinking
pool and pee on
so
the side
you're
of the
thinking
corner.
all these things on the outside of you that you'd be able to do if you're a boy, but what if the inside of you is fighting that? You don't understand why, but there's something inside that's fighting what you are. You
Again,
can't
I
explain it,
don't.
but there's something inside of you that's fighting against.
There's
It's
a lot
not
of
just
things
not just staying
that
out and peeing
that
up.
on the inside I fought against. Something is wrong. Something is different about me. I think everyone would have those feelings about any number of things. Something is different about me. However, I do think that unless it's a really big deal, I think some of those things are just growth in evolution in growing up. You question everything. Everything is new to you. Every sensation, every thought is new to you. Some of those things are nurtured and some of them go away. Some of them just
What are you saying?
I'm
What are you
saying, I'm
saying as
saying
far
that
as it comes to people who are gay or transgender then?
okay, I'm not, listen, if you're gay, that is something that I think you find out with your maturity in sexuality. Okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So
As well as transgender. There's nothing wrong with that either. It
nothing
comes
wrong
from
with being
maturity
transgender
and
either.
growth.
What I'm saying
No.
is as
Yeah.
a small child,
Yeah, it's just a
who is telling, just like people tell us that we're heterosexual, who's telling you that you're gay? And you see it a lot, and especially in our community. Oh, I knew that boy was gay. Because you're an adult and you knew he was gay, what did you tell that child? What did you tell her? Oh, she's a little mannish. She's a little butch. Why are you telling her that? Because now she's going to ask you what that means. And yeah, I'm a tomboy. I'm a little butch. I've always said I wanted to be a little boy. I always wanted to be a boy. Who's pushing that narrative to you? Or did that come to you organically? Did when you were 25 or whatever, you're like, I don't even like boys. like they cool, but I'm not attracted to that. Or is this the question? Or is it because you displayed certain characteristics or whatever, certain behaviors that someone said, you know what, I knew he was gay. So you treat him like he's gay. Instead of treating him as a child who should grow up organically and grow into sexual maturity. If you're transgender, do you find that out when you're 5? Because again, I said I wanted to be a boy. And y'all have seen how I dress. Brandy, you've seen how I dress my entire life. I could have very well at any point flipped the script. And
I think it's more than, to me, I think it's more than a feeling. I think it's something that's chemical within the body that you can't control. So I don't think it's just a thought. I think it's something within yourself. Like people who are intersex that have, testicles, or a penis
and
and a
you
ovary where
believe
your body is
those kind of
battling.
organic feelings come at what age would you say?
I wouldn't say it's a feeling. I would say it's something chemical within your
Right.
body
Well,
that
right.
just
So when would you
When did
I
it
think
don't
that?
know.
manifest itself?
Yeah. When
I
would you?
have I have no idea when that happens, but I don't think it's
You think
just
a
a feeling.
2-year-old can manifest that kind of chemical
You might
feeling?
not understand it. There's grown folks who still trying to understand stuff. So I don't think you can understand it, but there's something going on within you in your body that you can't explain, you can't tell anyone else. It's just something that's in there that you can't define. And then when you get the knowledge and the words to say it, then you say it. You say it on whatever level that you're able to say it on.
Okay.
But I think it's something that's going on probably
At a
mentally and
cellular
probably
level that
yes,
And I
yes.
believe that. I just believe that there's a age where that would seem to come into maturity. I think a 3-year-old, they don't barely know their
at that
name.
age, I
They
don't think
don't,
They
that
but
don't
any
know.
adult
they might
I
be
think it
able.
is possible to build up as time goes on and as you mature into a certain age. Like I don't even
I
go as
think,
far as 20. I could say that could happen at 16, 15, 17.
but
But I think a
you use
child, a young child, as a you don't it's so
you
much
use
stuff going on
yeah
that
you
you how
use
do
the
you
language.
differentiate that
You
that's that feeling because you don't
you
know feelings,
use
you don't know nothing.
you use the language that you have. You can't explain what it is, so you say I'm a girl because
I don't
that's
think
how
I
you go
ever.
to explain it.
But here's the thing. Again, like Brandy, at the very beginning of this long ass tangent that we've gone on, you said that
But
who told you that you were a girl, right? And you said this is all based on social standards, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody told me I was a girl. They just told me I wasn't a boy. Or they
mhm.
pointed out that my brothers were boys. Nobody had to tell me I was a girl. They just
But
told me.
your mom told you a girl by how she dressed you, by how
No,
she did your
she
hair. She
didn't
didn't do
tell
those
me
things to your
that.
brother.
She didn't tell me in verbal terms. She just, yeah, I was dressed differently, but you can't go outside and stay outside. Those are boys. So it was one-sided. Those are boys. So of course I want to be with the side that does the things. Just like when little kids say, I want to be white. No one told you were black. They just told you weren't white. So I want to be that thing. And so what do
So
we
if your
do?
mother didn't differentiate that those are boy that they're out there as boys, and they just said they're out there because they're older, would that have been better?
I got that they were older because they were older. I got all of those things. But what I'm saying in the very beginning, it wasn't an explanation of you're a girl and what a girl was. Those were just words. But just by action and by behavior, I knew that whatever I wasn't gonna let me stay outside past the street lights. But boys can. So I want to be that. Boys can ride their bikes down the street. So I want to be that. And whatever it is that's going to allow me to play like that and be outside like that, I want to be that. But as far as how I felt, that never changed. I didn't think like a boy. I have a lot of men in my life and I do not understand them. A lot of them. I don't understand them. I don't want to. I don't want to
Mhm.
be. I don't want to think like a man, but sometimes it would be nice if I could just wake up as one. Just every now and again. Just if I just want to see how reality changes to be a man for a day or a week. Do I still want Brandy's mindset, whoever Brandy is, whatever gender Brandy is? Well, that's fine. I don't care about gender. I don't care how you label yourself. If you are human and you do nice shit, then you're good. Like you can be whatever it is that you want to be. Like that doesn't. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. But
I just feel it's deeper than a feeling, and you know you don't have the language, you don't have the words, you don't have the ability to say what it is. You learn to as you get older to develop the language to explain how you're feeling, and maybe as a child that only comes out with the language you have is I'm a girl or I'm a boy because that's the language you have, but because you don't have anything to explain further what it is. Of course, nobody understands that, but that you use the language that you have at the time.
and it's not a black and white um It's not an either or. Even being cisgendered female, it's not just that. Or cisgendered heterosexual man, it's not just that, because there's a bunch of gray area in any gender or any piece of sexuality that you choose to claim. There's a lot of gray area. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people won't admit it, but it exists. So these are our opinions, y'all. These are our opinions. This is not scientific. We are not trying to diminish anybody's sexuality or anybody's gender. Nothing like that. We're just having a conversation. But yeah, there's a lot of gray area. But it's just as far as the age. I don't think just particular to transgender or gay kids or lesbian kids that there's like, that we're bashing, that community. But I don't think that in any child that sexuality is apparent at 2 and 3.
No, I don't.
No,
Not
I don't.
sexuality. No,
No, and I think
not
that's
sexuality.
yeah. So the whole back. If we can somehow get this back to Dennis Nilsen, I don't think he knew what gay was that early.
No, he just knew what he was not acceptable,
Right?
and it was different.
Yeah. So okay. So let's ask this question about Dennis Nilsen, even about Jeffrey Dahmer. Do you guys think that those sexual feelings developed organically, or did they develop out of whatever trauma that they had as children and it continued? Like that trauma of either being touched or touching inappropriately, it felt good because kids are, like I said, kids are sponges and everything feels good at kids. Everything feels good to us, right? No matter who it's coming from, male or female, it feels good. Touch feels good. So the trauma, if he was abused by his grandfather, he turns out abuse on his older brother, the touch felt good. So was that organic sexuality that he became gay, or did that develop out of a trauma?
I think him being gay is not relevant to other than who he decided to kill, because I think even if he was heterosexual, he would have killed women for the same reason.
Okay.
His whole reason is he wanted them to stay. He didn't want anyone to leave. He, like his grandfather, he didn't want his grandfather to leave, and
Oh, that sounds so familiar.
he killed these people because he didn't want them to leave. He
That
wanted them to stay.
So familiar. When I started laughing, I was watching I forget what documentary it was, but I was laughing and it wasn't funny, but it was just ironic that in the Jeffrey Dahmer thing on Netflix, when Niecy Nash's character, when he came over there to offer her that sandwich, and she was like, "I'm not about to eat no sandwich with your apartment smelling like raccoon ass." And when the cops came to Dennis Nilsen's apartment and they were like, the smell was so horrible, and they were asking him like, "Where's the body?" or whatever, and he's like, "It's in there," and he had a whole head in a bag, and it just reminded me of Jeffrey Dahmer when she said that, "I'm not eating that. Your whole apartment smell like raccoon ass." In his entire apartment complex, it's the same story. I swear it's the same story. His entire apartment complex smelled like dead flesh.
See, the only thing was different because, like, Jeffrey Dahmer did dispose of his body as far as putting them in the toilet and flushing, just like Dennis Nilsen. But Dennis Nilsen was flushing. What kind of plumbing do they got out there where you can flush whole arms and stuff? And I mean, it did get backed up, which was the reason he was found, because they had the plumber come out, because the whole complex, the building, everything got backed up into other people's apartments. But I'm like, what kind of plumbing do they got where you can flush whole arms and stuff, like, repeatedly?
A hole the
And
size of a crater.
yeah,
Going straight through.
repeatedly he's flushing. This is
Yeah,
not
like
like he's
the
flushing
hole
one
in the
time.
toilet has to be this big.
I was like, what kind of hole they got that's going? Look at all.
The pipes
And
are
that
huge.
suction. The suction must be
the suction power. Like,
man, you can't put a paper towel in modern plumbing, and your stuff is
no.
You backed up all on the street.
Yep.
But it was just ironic to me, the similarities between their disposal, the fact that Dennis Nilsen killed so many people that he didn't have time to dispose them properly. They both were butchers.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Nilsen didn't eat his, his
He
people.
liked to have sex with them though, so he was still
Yeah.
in that,
Yeah.
just like Jeffrey. Now, this is very ironic and very interesting. Victim number 5 was from the Philippines, either from the Philippines or Thailand. And I was like,
Interesting.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And one of the things that the reason why he was able to keep doing what he was doing was because his victims were most likely gay. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
most of them are homeless or students. They were vulnerable. And he picked them because they were vulnerable. And just like when the 14-year-old that Jeffrey killed got away and escaped, the police did not listen to him and took him back. There were 2 victims that got away from Dennis Nilsen, called 999, which is their UK's equivalent of 911, to report what had happened. The police found out that these guys were gay and were like, we don't want to know nothing about what you're talking about.
Nothing to do with it.
We don't want to know anything about what you're talking about. So basically, they are telling you that this guy is getting us drunk, getting us high. He is trying to cut our heads off. And you have to know that that apartment, he had bodies in the closet. He had them under the floorboards. So the apartment stank like hell. And it was probably humid and muggy and hot. So the whole neighborhood is like, what the fuck is that?
I smell
But
rotten
even
flesh.
his friend, go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, I was gonna say I smell rotten flesh, and it wasn't even alive. And it could clear out a whole apartment. Just a
Even
little
his
bit.
friend,
So
was complaining about the smell. And what did he tell him that it was what did he tell him? There was an animal or something that had passed away,
Oh yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
and in the walls or something. And his friend was like, he accepted, like, okay. And that's the same friend that said he woke up and then Dennis was over him, and he was like, he Mr.
You know
Deeds
it.
him, like whoa, and didn't realize that he almost was killed. If he hadn't woke up,
He would have
he
been
would have been
on the number.
he would have been choked out.
Night.
It is crazy because even when the police came, it's because people were complaining in the building, the plumbing. They kept coming out and they kept coming out. So finally, a plumber comes out and he's in outside. Let's go outside to the line.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that's that's an arm right there. Like this. What is this? So they go up to his apartment. The policeman goes, the detective, whatever, goes up there and he's like, let's talk about your plumbing, Dennis. Dennis is like, when does the detective come about the plumbing? He's like, let's go upstairs. We can talk about it. They go up there. They're like, where's the body? Where's the body? He's like, oh, it's right there in the closet. So they open up bags, it's heads and stuff in there. So another detective is like, are there more than one? He's like, no, there's about 15. So say again, huh? What?
And there was some in his other residence as well, the place he lived before the place he was at.
Is he in the back?
And the same thing, the crazy thing is that he got found out when there was just too many for him to manage. But he seemed to, when he would get, because I remember there was one that he had to bring back out to dispose of, and he was trying to get rid of it, put it down the toilet, and he had a gag reflex, like he was grossed out by it.
Which one that was?
I don't remember Dahmer being gross. Well, he was eating them, so who knows if Dennis Nilsen would have, if he kept on, if he would have ended up cannibalizing. But he seemed like physically sickened by the fact of the flesh and having to, the smell and decomposing and all of that, which Dahmer did not, but he wasn't so sick about it that he stopped.
Let me see which one that was. It doesn't say. Well, the information I have doesn't say. Wow. So look, there's one. Yeah, I don't see which one that was. I don't have the description of that one. Yeah, I don't have the description of that one. So
I'm checking too.
he did prostitutes. Uh, he would drown some of them. He strangled most of them. He would drown some. There was a skinhead that he beheaded because he had like a tattoo that said "cut here" on his neck, and
Let me see what that happens.
that was victim. That was they don't have his name. That was like victim 11 that they found. He picked him up and he had the tattoo on his neck that said "cut here," and he was like talking about how much he was a tough guy or whatever, and then he got drunk, and then all that went out the window, and he dismembered him.
Not a lot of one night stands, like I said, and he some of them that he would see more than once, but when they just decided that he was just a little too, like, we can't continue this relationship, you're a little too out there for me. Or they say he wasn't very good with his conversational skills either. Like, he wasn't good at sitting down and discussing like a normal person. I like this, I like that, which that is what the boyfriend he did have for that long period of time said, that he was just, they didn't have anything in common, they really didn't have any good conversations or whatever. It seemed mostly that it was like a sexual relationship, and that the guy decided that that we're too different, we have to go. So I think that much like Jeffrey Dahmer, where he was trying to have a relationship with someone for a while, and they might have went out on a couple dates, but when that person was like, I don't think this is going to work out, then that's when that thing of, oh, like,
You
don't
can't
leave
be-
me, and
yeah.
I'm going to make you stay with me, you know or trying to make that person stay by killing them. They're not really there, you didn't really keep them.
Why didn't he
That
kill the
same.
boyfriend?
Hmm?
Why didn't he kill the boyfriend? Why?
Because I think I think he got what he thought he was going to get, and I think that if the boyfriend probably hadn't told him and then moved out right then, he might have killed him.
Hmm.
You know, because
Yeah.
they said that he basically had his stuff packed and was like, this ain't gonna work out. Rolled out.
Yeah. Because that
It'd
seems
be
like it would have been like the first, like his first trigger, like you you're leaving me. You know what I mean? I love you and you're leaving me. And
it,
but like you said, if he didn't have his stuff back, he probably would have been up under the floorboards too.
Yep.
and do we know what time that? I tried to see what time when his boyfriend left him and did his killings ramp up after that, but I couldn't really place the timing into when, where, at what point during his uh killing career, or whatever you want to call it,
Well,
when that happened.
he started killing in like 1978.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his first murder, was late December, well, the end of December 1978. So 1979, basically. So it would have had to have happened from the time that he got out of the army in 72 to 78, 79. So somewhere in that period, he had that relationship, because that's when he moved to London, was in 1981. Was that when he moved? Yeah, I think he moved. He moved
Yeah.
to an apartment in 1981.
Yes, that's correct.
Moved to that apartment in 1981. Um,
It
and
actually did ramp up.
yeah, so so he did the first one in the December 1978, and a whole year later, December 3rd, was his second murder, and then May 1980 was the third, and then he just kind of was, getting them out quick. So he might have been going through, like, kind of like Jeffrey. Remember when, and this is just based on the movie, remember when he killed the first guy, the hitchhiker guy trying to get to the concert? Like, it was just like,
Mhm.
oh shit, I got away with it. And then he knew he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
This might have been Dennis's, I know, oh shit, I killed somebody,
To
oh,
do it, yeah.
do it type of thing. So I think that's what that was. And then a whole year goes by before he does it again. And then 6 months, five or 6 months.
And the year is definitely because it's a fear. Like, okay, I
I'm
gotta
gonna
wait to
get
see.
caught.
Am I gonna get caught? Which Jeffrey did.
Are they gonna find it?
They're gonna find me. I'm gonna get caught. And then once you realize, and which I believe Jeffrey did, like, I got away with this.
They let
Oh,
me go.
yeah, let me go.
And then you already know, because you're a gay man, um, even though in England, I think it was 1967, they had like a law, whatever, that, because they had to pass a law that it was okay to be gay. But you still couldn't be openly gay. That as a gay man, they're not going to pay attention to you. You know that they're not going to do anything, that the police and the rest of society is going to stay as far away from your homosexuality as possible. And you want to really stay as far away from the police and the society as a homosexual person as well, because you could be killed. So, which some of those people got killed. But so it's like there's no middle ground. He had, just like Jeffrey, it was perfect. Jeffrey had gay POC people, and Dennis Nilsen just had gay people, because it didn't matter if you were POC or not. If you were gay in England, it was over for you. So they both had the perfect pool of victims to get, because they know by this point they didn't find the body. They're not looking for the body, because most of these people are homeless who's reporting them missing, and they're students, and they could be foreign students in London. Who's looking for these people? Maybe they classified everybody as a damn runaway back then.
Well, we already know that in being gay back then, if you came out and told your parents they were gay, there was a lot of gay homeless teen. I mean, there's a lot of gay homeless teens now. It thrown, so thrown out 13, 14 years old. So it's probably the same situation, probably even more so back then.
Yeah, they rent boys, things like that. So, he definitely knew what he was doing. And as
he was
a policeman and a civil servant, he knows that he could get away with it. And the thing is, a person like Dennis Nilsen and a person like Jeffrey Dahmer, they are very middle of the road with their looks and their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you might have an inkling that they're gay or they're other or whatever, but they don't bother anybody. He's the next guy who lives upstairs. He goes to work, he eats his cheese sandwich, and he goes home. He doesn't bother anybody.
And I think he presented himself.
But
I think he presented himself as, I am an upstanding officer. I'm going to help you. Come to my house. You can eat. You can take a shower. There's a safe place for you to be as a gay homeless teen. I'm the big brother. I'm going to, help you in your situation. And then it ends up not being that.
There was, who was it? There was one that had been with him, and then he came back. He had gone to jail or something like that. And then he came back to his house. Okay, I think it was number 12. This is where he was murdered in 1981. And he says that, so the guy's name was Malcolm Barlow. He was in the doorway of his home. So he calls the ambulance for him. He gets out of the hospital the next day. He goes back to thank Dennis Nilsen, and Dennis kills him. So, like you said, Brady, he seems like a safe place. Like, this guy helped me. He's so great. And then you kill him the next day. Like, are you kidding me?
Well, they said a lot of people said the people would say that Jeffrey Dahmer, he was a little weird, but he would dance at the club, and he was a weird white guy, but he would have been weird anyway because he was in a black club. But they were like, he was a fun guy,
they
and
present well, these people. And that's the whole thing about a serial killer, is that you don't know that they're a damn serial killer. Because think about all the serial killers that we've either talked about or just heard about over the years. Most of their neighbors say the same damn thing. I didn't know.
They were nice. Yeah, I didn't know.
Nicest guy. John Wayne Gacy was giving barbecues for the entire neighborhood. Even though there was barbecues with the bodies of the people that he killed, it was under the floorboards. But hey, that's another thing. He's a nice guy. Albert Fish, nice guy. They let the little girl go with him. They're all nice. They're all very, their looks are very brown and middle of the road vanilla. They don't stand out. The only one who stood out with looks was, technically, according to everybody else, was Ted Bundy. But that was but everybody else was just.
But you kind of have to be that. You can't present as a scary, menacing person.
People automatically
stay away
from you. But if you're
and the point is to stay hidden. You want to stay hidden.
You're a very nice neighbor. Hey neighbor, go.
And we can see that with Uncle B from what's the name of it?
Which
the one who messed with both the daddy and the mama and the kid.
Oh, hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, he was a great neighbor. They had cookouts, and they hung together. He would be so helpful. He'd come over and fix stuff. They have to be that to be able to infiltrate into get who they are.
Get away with it for so long is that no one would ever suspect that you're the reason why the whole neighborhood smells like raccoon ass. Nobody knows that because
what's his name? He was a politician in the neighborhood. Thought of very well. You just said it. Clown guy.
Oh, John.
John.
Yeah. He was well known in the community. He was a politician, a well known good guy.
He had already been convicted of sodomy in Iowa. Right. He moved to Chicago.
He was a business owner.
Knew that something was wrong, but it's okay because he has an illness. And that's another thing that they could hide behind, because everyone, if you were a good guy, no one wanted to destroy your reputation. So you could do things and get convicted of things like sodomy and all these things, but you have an illness and you're fine.
And you also, all you had to do was move, because there's no computers or anything. Everything's done by paper.
Yep.
So you can literally pick up and move to the next town, and they're not going to talk to each other about who,
And the police departments didn't talk to each other either. There's a lot of cases where it could have been solved long time ago if the police departments and the sheriff's departments, you have sheriffs and police departments in the same city, and they're not sharing information. So you've got serial killings in both jurisdictions, but neither one of them know it. Gary Ridgway got away like that. Nobody's talking. No one's talking with each other. So that's definitely probably why that continued to happen. What was the question?
It just seems so crazy to me that they seemingly had the same type of upbringing, where we don't know necessarily that Jeffrey Dahmer had somebody, a grandfather or whatever like Nilsen, but we do know his mother was not mentally there and didn't give him love and support like she did his younger brother, because she did have that mental illness or whatever, and wasn't she alcoholic too?
And in the 50s and 60s, they didn't really diagnose women. They just gave them drugs. They gave them the good shit. So those 50s and 60s housewives were high as hell.
And then his father was gone all the time working.
On non-tested medication.
Lithium and all kinds of shit, just to get by. And then they're drinking all day, and their mental illness is not being treated. And then that kind of spills onto your kid, like you said. Then the father, it gives abandonment on both sides from both parents. So Dennis Nilsen, same thing, an absent father and an unavailable mother. Same thing. It's crazy how these two people parallel. And even when you brought it up, Brandon, when you said do Dennis Nilsen, he's like, we could just talk about how he's so similar to Jeffrey Dahmer. And I never really thought about that, but they're basically mirrors of each other. Basically mirrors.
And that gives you the question that people often say: are people born evil, or do they become evil later on?
That's it. I don't know. Are you born anything? And that's just a general question. We can have our thoughts on whether you are or not, because we just discussed that whole thing for like 15 minutes. Do you develop it?
Or if he was put into a different situation, say went to go live with an aunt and an uncle, would he still have those feelings? But then he still would feel some sort of abandonment because he's not with his parents. So
yeah, but I mean, because you have, I don't know, like David Wilson, I think that's his name, the criminologist from England. He said that he was perfectly sane, and that he would, when they were interviewing him, he would play with him, like try to play mind games with him. So he's like, he's very intelligent.
He did that with the detectives as well.
Yeah, he would play with him. He knew what would kind of trigger them, and he knew it was gross and all that stuff. So he did play with them. But I don't know if he was diagnosed as a psychopath or a sociopath, but there are a great many people who are diagnosed as psychopaths who don't do anything. So being a psychopath doesn't automatically make you a murderer, and not being a psychopath does not also cancel out you being a murderer, because there are people who just make a conscious decision. So I think that maybe Dennis Nilsen is one of those people who was making a conscious decision at all times, that it had nothing to do with any side of, any sort of psychosis. I think
both of them made conscious decisions.
Mm-hmm. They really got off on what they were doing for other reasons, but their reasons might have been different or slightly different.
We know people who are addicted to being in relationships, and you can say there's the same type of person who wants to be in a relationship but can't find the longevity in a relationship, and those people become serial relationship people, where they're always in a relationship,
no matter what kind it is. Yeah. It's just, I need something or somebody, and you're like,
and they don't end up killing the people that they're with to make them stay.
They kill their spirit, though. They really do. They kill their spirit. I'm one of those people who almost got their spirit. I had to rid myself of the demon. I had to go. I'm sorry, Brandy. I didn't mean to say that. I shouldn't have said that, but I did.
Especially if he probably watches the show, so he can be close to you.
Let's hope not. Let's not.
You don't think he watches the show? He watches the show.
Probably.
Yes.
Oh, you think so?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, well. Hey.
Especially after what you did the other day, which I'm not going to go into detail, but I will tell Jackie when we get off. Cold-hearted snake.
No, she'd be ice cold. Once it's a wrap, baby. Once she wrap it up, it's a wrap.
I'm gonna tell you part of it is I didn't do anything. Like literally, I did nothing. I didn't do anything, and that's the part that Brandy says is cold, is because I didn't do anything, like nothing.
Not necessarily cold, but it's just like, dang, that stings. Like,
I'm gonna have to be careful because
dang, Brand, what you do?
Nothing. Literally. So Brandy will explain it to you.
Okay. Yeah, nothing substance.
You got to be careful because, some people don't take non-response. No response is as bad as, is a bad response.
Well, basically there was some communication and then there was no response from her side.
Gotta fix that.
Like none. Like basically left you on red.
I had to clear my notifications.
Didn't say nothing. No response. Not even like just clear your notification without reading it. Like,
was it a hey, how you been doing? Then
It was a little deeper than that, but basically.
oh. Mm.
That's all I was saying. It would have been different with me.
That's why
I
you said
understand.
it. That's why you said it stung because
Yeah. I understand clearing the notifications because that does bother me when I have that notification up there.
you too.
But for me, I'm just going to clear it. I'm not going to do the extra, like, which
I
she wasn't doing
did.
the extra twist. She was just
Like this.
behaving like a normal person. But for me, I was just like, dang. Like you just cleared me. You read me and you just
I would say so. You cleared it, then went into your messages and read it, or you read it when you
no,
cleared
you
it.
read it.
And then I just left it there.
Dang, man.
But what she did wasn't bad.
No,
But
it's
she
not
just
bad.
behaved like a normal person. But then when you think back of it, just and then you know Brandy too. You got to know her too. Because if we did it, it would be like, oh, dang, that's Jack. But the fact that is Brand, it just fits with her personality. Like when it comes to
I'm
relationships,
not a
bad.
mean person. I just
No, just with relationships. When she's done, she's done.
It's done.
And this person was advised to that. So
and there's, I'm not a Dennis Nilsen. There's no one in the closet. There's no one under the floorboards or anything like that. And the pipes in this apartment, they can't handle no arms, no legs, or nothing. So
they can't handle toilet paper. So
no, you gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. All right. So I guess that's a wrap for episode 100. Sorry for our, sidebar discussion. But just as a caveat to that sidebar discussion, we do want to tell you guys we are not discriminating against anyone's community. We don't need to mean to offend you. Trust, we do not mean to offend anybody. But we're
despite the side talk from we also want to say that we're the what Jackie's doing right now has nothing to do with the conversation that we're having right now about us not discriminating against anyone because
right.
she's
all in.
said that and then she said sure.
Yeah, no, she's all in. She's all in agreement. So we're not trying to offend anybody.
I'm so sorry.
Discriminate.
Cat, did y'all hear him?
Cassius,
he tried to get fly with me. I had to tell him shut up. So sorry.
So I know it's
said it at the same time that Brand said.
Yeah, I'm so okay.
So we're just having a open, honest discussion. However you get to wherever you get to in your life, that is your personal journey and your personal story. We don't know you. We're not judging you. We're just having conversations based on what we know and what we think about ourselves and our experience. So,
and if you are part of the community and you can enlighten us because like I said, we don't have that experience, so we can't describe it. We can only go on what we feel as heterosexual females. So if there's anything that you can offer to the discussion to make it more understandable or anything like that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Please do. You can leave that in the comments on this episode, which will air on Thursday, which is going to be April 27th. You'll see this episode on YouTube, so you can always leave that in the comments, or you can leave comments on Instagram or Facebook, or if you don't want to really be revealed, you can email us at info@blackcoffeecrime.com or just send us a DM. But just like we try to be respectful to you, please return that same energy. Okay.
Some of y'all been a little,
spicy.
Listen, so we had a commenter say about our name. Can white people, or is this only for Black people, or can white people watch too?
You want me to read it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jackie has it queued. I was like, wait, what?
Because it made no sense at all.
That's just crazy.
It was interesting. Oh, here it is. Okay. So, is this just for Black folk? Mm-hmm. It's okay for me to make a video entitled "White Coffee?" ? Yes, you've hurt my feelings. So ...
What exactly is white coffee?
I've never had
it. Has anybody ever had white coffee?
I never had it.
Is that hot milk?
It's hot milk. And basically what you do is you just pass a teaspoon of regular coffee over your
But you don't put it in.
But you don't put it in.
Okay.
And the comment black folk leads me to believe that you may possibly be a little racist. Because what is black folk?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, because what is that? What would our name have to do?
And that's speculation. We don't know.
What would our name have to do with the story?
Allegedly. I mean, black coffee and crime.
There's black coffee.
There's even a cup in the logo. There's a cup. We don't got the fist up there. We got a cup and a fingerprint. Basically, come in. We always say that. We used to say that when we first started. Come in. Enjoy that second cup. The second cup of tea. Tea in our community is business. It is gossip. Come and get some of this. But we're gonna have some coffee. Yes, it's a play on our community and in our ethnicity. Yes, it is. It's a play on that, but that's not exactly what that means. So you can take it how you want to, but if you want to drink white coffee, you go ahead and do that. I don't know how that shit tastes. It's just hot milk. You're just gonna go straight to sleep. You're not gonna be able to stay up long enough to get this hot tea. So you take,
I mean, if you want a white coffee and crime,
have one.
Have one, please.
Have one. We're gonna watch your shit too. Have one. Have one. But like I explained to the commenter, we don't know you. We didn't consider you when we made the name, so the fuck your feelings. That's all I got for you. So sorry. But we hope you come back to watch some other episodes. If you have someone that you want us to talk about who's white, like Dennis Nilsen, Jeffrey Dahmer, Albert Fish, Edgy, that's just to name a few white people that we talk about. You're more than welcome to come back and make suggestions. But we don't know y'all. We're not talking about y'all. We are just giving our opinions. And if you don't like them, skip to the next episode. So,
before we go, I do want to call out my earrings. I don't know if y'all can you see good without the...
Yeah, there you go.
This came from this on Instagram, a lady company named Floak, Floak Sun on Instagram. I just happened to be scrolling and I came across these beauties. So that's my earrings for today.
And these every time Brandy gives a recommendation that is unsponsored, unsolicited,
Unsponsored. Now, if y'all want to sponsor a girl,
then y'all could go ahead and do that. But she's just shouting out because she bought a good product. And we'll do that. If we find a good product, we will shout you
Anybody out there that has a coffee company that would like to be mentioned?
Because we
love to try coffee.
Yes, we do. Or some tea, because we got a lot of that to spill. Personal tea and public and criminal tea too. We'll go ahead and end this 100th episode. I think this is probably one of our better episodes. We did go off the rails a little bit, but it was good. Hopefully,
we go off the rail in every episode, so they
we always go off the rail.
Yeah, I will put a trigger warning on this in the description as well. So if it's too much for you or if it offends you in any way, scroll past. All right, so good night, guys. Enjoy that second cup, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.